Warning, this video contains strong language and graphic descriptions of crime scenes. Viewer discretion is advised.
Here at Shire Grove Metro Park. I don't know if this is a fake or what. I'm afraid to get close to it. Please send somebody. Hurry. Don't get near it. It's bloody. It's got the arm over its face. I'm afraid to get near it.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Hooked, where we will be telling some true crime stories and doing some crochet projects together. On today's episode, we will be taking a look at the tragic death of Reagan Toked and also crocheting a beanie. We'll start with a chain of about 8 inches long. You can do any chain. Me personally, I like to do a foundation chain just because it gives a better foundation of what I would want to do as far as starting my project. So with a foundation chain, you will chain 2, go through that first chain, which would be the second stitch from the hook, pull that through 1, and then pull through 1, pull through 2. So you kind of have this like little funky looking thing. Well, you will go and you will find that V shaping like that, and you'll just stick the hook through there, pull it through, go through 1, and go through 2, or the last 2 hoop loops. And then you will just continue to do that until you reach your 8 inches in length. And if you are doing a regular chain length, you will probably get done a lot faster. But I do want to show you the difference between the two. If you are doing that regular chain, I'll get a couple more stitches into here, and I'll show you the difference, just because you can already kind of see the difference in between the two. So essentially what a foundation chain is doing is it is starting out your chain and also a row of single crochet. So it'll be a lot easier for you to stitch into once you start your actual project. And today we will be doing double crochet for the beanie. That'll just be the stitching that we're using. So here, it's a little stretchier. You can kind of see that as well. And then you see that chain that we did and also the row of the single crochet that we have. So Reagan Toked was born March 13th, 1995 to Toby and Lisa Toked. She also had a younger sister named Mackenzie. She was born in Edgewood, Kentucky, but they moved to Maumee, Ohio, and that's where she grew up. She graduated from Anthony Wayne High School with a 4.5 GPA, so sure, he was smart. She was also pretty athletic as well. She played lacrosse and was on the tennis team. From friends and family, Reagan was just someone that you wanted to be around. There was never a dull moment with her. She would always be making a song about anything. Like if she was making some bagels, she'd be making a song about making some bagels. At the age of 6, give or take, her dad took her to an OSU football game, and that was when she knew that's where she wanted to go to college. And that's exactly what she did. The year she started college, her parents and her younger sister moved to Florida for her dad's new job, but she stayed in Ohio so that she could attend the school of her dreams. And she was set to graduate in May of 2017, and she already had a job planned for herself in Cleveland, Ohio. So I have my 8 inches of length here. I do want to show you, me personally, I will be doing the back loop for the beanie, going all the way down and back for my 8 inches. That looks like this. So doing the back loop only will kind of give you a design like that. If you want to just do regular crochet, that will kind of just be regular like that. So it just kind of be all the way through. It won't have those like divots through there. And for the back post or back loop only, sorry, you will wrap around, of course, and then you will go through the loop that is away from you. So furthest from you, you go through that loop, and then you would just kind of do a double crochet as normal. So you kind of wrap around, pull through the first 2, and then pull through the second 2, go back through that back loop, pull through the first 2, and then pull through the second 2. And that will give you that kind of back and forth stitching pattern like that. On February 8th of 2017, at around 9:45 p.m., Reagan was leaving Bodega, which was like a bar restaurant she worked at in downtown Columbus. As she was walking to her car, she was surprised by Brian Galsby, who had a gun, forcing her into her vehicle. Brian made her drive to two different ATMs, hoping that he would be able to withdraw $500 from her account, but both times the transaction declined. He then forced her to drive to an alley where he raped her, then forced her to drive back to one of those ATMs where he successfully was able to withdraw $60 from her account because that made a whole bunch of sense.
We had a employee leave work last night, and she has not been home. Her phone is off. Nobody can find her. She hasn't been home at all either. Her mom's been calling.
Brian then made Reagan drive to the Scioto Grove Metro Park, which is actually where we are right now. He made her go into a field, stripping all her clothes off, even taking her shoes off. He shot her 2 times, once in the back of the head and once on the left side of her face, close range execution style. He then stole her car and proceeded to drive his girlfriend to McDonald's. And this fool gifted his girlfriend with the wallet and the purse that he stole from Reagan. Because he's such a lover boy. He then threw the gun and the shell casings in a sewer and then tried to set the car on fire to destroy any evidence that may have been left by him. But luckily, that didn't really work out for him because the car didn't really set on fire. He just abandoned it. Now, who is Brian? Brian was born on January 26, 1988. He claims to have had a really bad childhood with an abusive mother and was also a victim of rape, drug, and alcohol abuse. He says this is what triggered his criminal behavior, which started as a teenager. As a juvenile, he was charged with trespassing, theft, criminal damage, rape, and this boy threatened his own mother with a knife. So, yeah, Buddy has some issues. And let's just add that there are plenty of people that didn't have the best childhood and they didn't grow up to become a menace to fucking society. Just throw that out there. And if that wasn't bad enough, in November of 2010, this creep abducted a woman and her 2-year-old son. This woman was 8 months pregnant. He robbed her and orally raped her 2 times. The victim of this attack was so afraid to testify in fear of her children's life, and he ended up being able to plead down to robbery and attempted rape. So he was sentenced to six years for each crime, but he was sentenced for them to be served concurrently. So he would only be getting the 6 years. And the time that he spent in prison awaiting the plea bargain situation to happen, that counted as time served. So he was only going to be serving 5.5 years. And on November 13th of 2016, guess who was back out running the streets? But don't worry, he had on a GPS ankle monitor. In his time in prison, Brian was not a good inmate whatsoever at all. He committed 52 infractions, which included refusing to obey orders, stealing, fighting, and possession of contraband, on top of countless of other things. Brian was so complicated during his prison sentence that he was transferred to several different prisons, and they still thought it would be a good idea to let this man out. Once he was released, he was set to live in a halfway house and wear the ankle monitor, but that didn't stop him in his bullshit. No, no, no. Between January 24th and February 7th, Brian violated his parole several times. And the day before he attacked Reagan, he even robbed a woman, stealing her purse and bags. And was back on the streets the next night. Like, where is his parole officer? Can someone call his parole officer, please? The morning after the attack, Reagan's body was found by a man walking in the park. She was identified by a tattoo and also some jewelry, which this was later confirmed by her uncle once he viewed the body. There was a commercial truck, I believe it was a garbage truck, that had a plate reader that located Reagan's car. And once investigators got to her car, they seen that there was a gas can in the trunk and also cigarette butts, which of course had Brian's DNA all over them. From all accounts, Reagan wasn't a smoker. They also found Brian's DNA on Reagan when they performed a rape kit on her body. And on February 11th, around 4 a.m., Brian was arrested and taken into police custody. Brian was taken to the police station where he confessed what happened to Reagan, but he blamed everything on someone named TJ, which it seems that's just someone he made up to try and save himself. There was just too much evidence against him, though. And while he was in jail, he told a friend and the mother of his children what really happened the night Reagan died. And they both later testified against him in court. He thought he had a friend. On March 13th, Brian was convicted of all of his charges and was sentenced to life in prison on March 21st. And during his sentencing, the judge said this to him: Reagan did nothing wrong whatsoever, and yet she forfeited her life because of your background. You get spared because of your background, yet she forfeited her life, which is like super heavy. Brian is now at the Ohio State Penitentiary, which is a supermax prison in Youngstown, Ohio. Reagan's family started a foundation after her senseless murder called the Reagan Toked Memorial Foundation. It works with students to get scholarships, teach self-defense, upon many other great things. Ohio now has a law called the Reagan Toked Law, where it allows courts to impose an indefinite sentence with minimum and maximum prison term for first and second degree felonies, which is good, but it sucks that someone had to lose their life for something like this to happen. It's super unfortunate. So once you finish, you will kind of have something like this. So you will just put those together, and what we will do is single crochet that together. So we went ahead and stitched, single crochet that together. We're going to cut the yarn. Give yourself a little something to work with as well, because we'll be using this to close up the top of the hat. And pull that through, tighten it. So now you kind of have something like this. Right? So this to be the base of the hat, and then we're just going to go ahead and close this up. All right, so we are going to just weave through the top stitches along there. This is a thicker, fuzzier yarn, kind of like a wintertime hat. So I basically just kind of go fold it back and forth. All right, so you have this all the way through the top, and you kind of just want to pull until this circle here gets really, really small. And I have to be really careful because if I pull too tight on this thread, it will rip. So just kind of scrunch it all together. Alrighty, so that's as small as I can get with this yarn. I am just going to go ahead and stitch this closed. So just go through these top stitches here and close it. So once you have everything kind of stitched up, you're going to flip it inside out there. I am a folder, so I always like to photo I had.
And that, friends, was the tragic, tragic story of the beautiful Reagan Toked and the absolute piece of garbage that took her life. If you would like to see the finished product of the blue and white beanie I did today on the episode, you can follow me on Instagram at HookedWTrueCrime, on TikTok at HookedWTrueCrime, or you can join the Facebook group at Hooked with True Crime. Thank you guys. Love you. Bye.